from Bugeye Guys. Today we're in our parts warehouse. This is the original concrete floor of our building, and here I have lined up a series of leaf springs, because in this video I want to talk a little bit about leaf springs, because we just took these out of a car. These are the original 15 leaf springs. They looked fine. I mean, this part is buried inside the body of the car. If you're unfamiliar, this is a quarter elliptical spring that's integral to the design of the Mark 1 and 2 Sprites. The later cars had a half elliptical, which is basically the continuation of an archer's bow. This is half of that bow, and that's what makes it a quarter elliptical. That's how they named it. But nonetheless, the quarter elliptical spring is not an ideal design. Very few people use it because it's inferior in terms of absorbing bumps. And these do a good job. It's a very light rear end in the Sprite Mark 1 and 2, or the Bugeye and the Mark 2. And the 15 leaves did a great job, but they wear out. And it's easy to imagine that they wouldn't wear out if you're looking at this. I mean, it looks basically in the same arc as a new car would look, a new Bugeye, that is. But then when you take it out and you see how this is kind of all almost congealed into one mass. This is from another car. There's not really any independent leaves here. It's a block with these things hanging off the back, and then they start to flare out and dirt gets in between the leaves. They can break like this. All of these were removed. This one actually has a cracked leaf. The bottom one just came out from under the clamp, but this one, it just snapped while it was also flaring out. So you have the kind of variability as these wear and age, but I think more than anything, the steel, just the spring rate changes after 65 years of being bolted in these little cars. They just don't perform the same. So this is the new spring that we sell. It's actually 10 leaves, and the leaves are a little bit thicker. So it looks a little bit different. But we found that with the right lowering shims that we provide when you buy them in our catalog, you can recreate the ride height, but most importantly, the ride quality with those springs is just mind-blowing to me how much better they are, because we took these out. It was kind of harsh in the back end. It was bottoming out a little bit. It just didn't feel very plush, which is a word we use generously for Bugeye in the sense that they were never plush. But when you have this spring and you install this spring and good rear lever shocks, it really rides nicely. I've been impressed. I just am surprised how much of a difference a new spring can make. So I want to encourage you to check your springs and see if they look like these here. It's probably time for a new one. Or if you're finding that the ride quality on the back end of your Sprite, first the lever shocks and the dog bones you want to upgrade, which we also sell, and then leaf springs would be next. These also, just as a heads up, the proper original configuration of these rear clamps was downward. These are shipped upward for ease of shipping so they don't punch through the box, but you need to turn those over once you get the springs to install them in your car. We also have a longer U-bolt that we make that allows you to put the shims under your springs and get the ride height that you want. That's a nice thing in our catalog. These you will need if you're taking the springs out. These are the remnants of this piece. This is the threaded top plate. Sits on top of the spring like so. And this one is broken off, and so you end up with this little stub. This one as well. And that gives you threads on the top of the leaf spring so you can put the bolts through. And these bolts are sheared off inside the spring here, which is pretty common. So you'll need new bolts, and they go through these two holes under the spring. And when you put new ones in, you just want to make sure you have a new top plate with the threads and two new bolts to go through there. And we recommend the longer U-bolts as well if you're shimming your springs. So that's a ride quality opportunity for those of you who want a little more comfort in your Bugeyes, or the Mark II Sprite also had this same arrangement. And that's what we've got this week here at Bugeye Guys.